So today we're going to record a Season 6 tier list. Now, first of all, this tier list could shift when it comes to mid-season. Maybe we'll do a mid-season patch if there's a lot of changes. Obviously, if the mid-season patch is significant enough to change a lot of everything, then we'll probably do a second tier list. If it isn't, then we probably won't for the season. It just depends. If there's like 8 changes to like the mid-season patch, 10 changes, we have a shift in the meta, we'll do one for that too. We'll see. I have no idea. It's just going to be kind of like we'll see how it goes. Now, second of all, there's going to be, keep in mind that the tier list will be all over the place. You know, some of the heroes you might see in S tier may not dominate as much in bronze or vice versa, etc., right? Like, I fully expect there to be difference of opinions on the tier list at times. I'm sure that, especially at one point, somebody will be like, oh, this is the worst tier list ever, etc. That is the nature of tier lists. We just have fun with it. I hope you enjoy. We'll start with tanks because we're just going to go kind of in order here so we can have it separated if we ever do like, TikToks and shorts, etc. So, all right. First of all, Doomfist. Doom got buffs recently. Just to summarize the buffs, Doomfist currently can go in quicker on slam. I think it's like 6 seconds now instead of 7 seconds, which you say 1 second. What does that mean? 1 second's a pretty big deal in Overwatch timing. And when Doom blocks now, like the stuck damage, like stick damage, like Tracer Pulse Bomb, Hinder, etc., which used to do full damage, is now blocked. So, based off of my opinion and playing against really good Doomfists, I'm actually going to put Doom in A tier. I go up against some really good Doomfists, and when Doomfist is played well, Doomfist pops off right now. I will say there is one hero right now that can change that, and this is my one take on this, is, and I'll put Doom in A tier for now, but there's one thing about Doomfist that can happen. If the other team goes Sombra, that Doomfist can go from A tier to C tier real fast, right? Like, real fast. Sigma. So I love playing Sigma. Sigma's one of my favorite heroes to play, obviously. I'm going to go with B tier. I think Sigma's probably B tier. I'll explain that in a little bit as to why, but I feel like in the current meta, Sigma really struggles against a lot of team comps. Still very playable on maps like Circuit Royale, Junkertown. I mean, I'll even play Sigma on Route 66 because I like the spam angles, but I feel like B is where Sigma's at. I still think Sigma is one of the most well-balanced tanks in the game, but Sigma can also shift very quickly. And what I mean by that is, Sigma can very, very quickly shift into this, hero that, even though very balanced and doesn't get many changes, if one tank is better than Sigma or the meta doesn't shift into what Sigma's doing, Sigma will be around here. Now, I see somebody in the chat saying Sigma dominating contenders. I think sometimes it can be really, really hard to kind of base it off of all of that right now, specifically when I'm just kind of going more with ranked right now. I do take that into account quite a bit. Like, for example, I know Junker Queen's being played in contenders too, and I've actually heard that there's been a good variety of heroes. I know that Junker Queen's being played a lot. I know that Orisa comps are being played a lot. I think Rhine comps are being played. The thing is that they play it so well and so optimally, right? So well that in ranked, it can be a little bit different, right? Especially if their rotations are, perfect. Especially if, all of that. Anyway, Reinhardt, this is going to be an interesting one. This one I think people might argue with, but I think probably C tier. Keep in mind, I know that there's been some really good contenders play from Reinhardt, but I think in ranked right now, I think Rhine probably kind of sits in that C tier. I just think when the other heroes are Orisa are being played a lot, Bastion, etc., Rhine just doesn't get as much value. So, it makes it difficult. Winston. Winston's an interesting one. I'm leaning towards B or A tier. I want to say B tier. I think B tier. Winston's good, but I feel like the meta has shifted slightly. It's like you said, low A, or this is like one of those A- B+ situations. You know what I mean? It's like an A- B+ situation. That's what it feels like. Should I make a B+ tier now? And just start with a B+ tier already? I think that's a good spot, right? I think B+ is probably good. But A tier, maybe A-. Maybe A-. This is, now it's interesting. Oh, it's so tough to say because, like, Winston is still really good. So I run into this issue where it's like, Winston can be in either of these tiers. So it almost feels like the safe pick is A-. Why isn't Winston S tier? I'm just going purely off of meta right now. I think it's a little bit difficult for Winston to get the same value that Winston would normally get. Like, Winston's still good and ranked. So is Winston worse than Doom? It's tough to say because really, really good Doomfist can absolutely dominate right now. Like, when I go up against a good Doomfist right now, it is tough. I'm trying to think. You said you pitch me at a restaurant going, I'll have this. Now, wait, this is interesting. Hold on, maybe I'll have this. Nope. When I go to a restaurant, I pretty much know what I want right away. I am like I look at the menu and I'm like, yep, I'm getting this. And I just commit to it. All right, I'm going to adjust the tier list in a second here. I'm going to do something now so we have this option. I'm going to put Winston here. Does that sound good? That seems pretty good, right? Ramatra. Tough one. Is A- and B+ not the same thing? I wish it was the same thing when I was in school. I would have had a lot more A-. B+? You know what? Chat wants B+. We're going B+ on Ramatra. I'm okay with that. Zarya. Ooh, this is a toughie. Oh, this is a toughie because if I see, this is the problem with the tier list. If I put Zarya in A-, then we have like this situation where Winston's good against Zarya, but then Winston's also... I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Winston is a good counter to Zarya, by the way. Junker Queen. B? B tier. I'm happy with B tier. Yeah, I'm happy with B tier. Junker Queen's good for disengaging too, in my opinion. Roadhog. I'm just gonna put Hog in D tier. I'm not. You know what? There's gonna be somebody in the chat who's like, first of all, I'll have you know that I played Roadhog in ranked the other day and I went 3-0. Roadhog is an A tier, so put Roadhog in there right now. What is this tier list? Roadhog should be an A tier. Listen, Roadhog was already in kind of like a D tier, C tier before. Okay, now you got Orisa. All right, Diva. A-. Keep in mind, chat, I play a lot of Diva. Like a lot. I like Diva here because Diva's pretty good against some of the comps. I definitely can find myself struggling against Doom comps or Orisa comps. Winston comps are kind of like 50-50 depending if they're running the Ana Brig backline. So just to give you an idea, she said she counters Winston. Okay, we'll talk about this for a second because I will say the experience I have against Winston is a little bit different on Diva right now. And I'll explain this. If they run Ana Brig, I have a good time against a Diva comp or a Winston comp. Sorry. If they don't. Sorry, let me rephrase that. If they run Ana Brig, I do not have a good time as Diva against a Winston comp. If they run anything else, I have a good time against a Winston comp. So, if we're 1v1ing, which I'm not going to 1v1 the Winston the whole time, like a lot of the time when I make tier lists too, keep in mind, I explain all the time about tanks. I'm not 1v1ing Winston the whole game. The whole game, I will not 1v1 Winston. It will become impossible at times. Will I peel for Winston? Absolutely, right? But I will not 1v1 Winston. The same thing as Zarya. Like, people are going to be like, well, why is Zarya not ahead of Diva? Because I'm not 1v1 Zarya. If I'm playing against a Zarya right now, like, I'm going to play around Zarya's bubbles and then make my decision based off of that. I'm not going to run at the Zarya in 1v1 and be like, I'm 1v1ing you. Because you're not going to, right? You're just not going to. We're not going to take that into account. So that's why I'm going with Diva there. Keep in mind, I have Doom here, and I think, and people are like, well, Diva better than Doom, etc. My pick for Doom and A tier is going to be very biased because I go up against really good Doomfists a lot of the time that absolutely dominate games, become unkillable. Nobody will peel for them. They have great blocking. It is a bunch of stuff. And that's Doom even with the bugs, right? Doom has a ton of bugs, right? So with Doom's buffs and Doom having a little bit more playability and just seeing people dominate with Doom a lot, I'm putting Doom there. So Wrecking Ball. That's a tough one. Tough one here. C or B? Probably C. Orisa. Oh, okay. This is my decision, chat. You know, S tier. I'm fine with S tier. I know Flats was talking to me yesterday saying how he doesn't think Orisa's an S tier. But, like, I'm telling you right now, the reason why I have Orisa in S tier is because Orisa's being played everywhere right now. And Orisa's really strong. Now, is Orisa as strong as, like, the Roadhog Orisa season? Probably not. But Orisa survives forever. Orisa goes into backlines. Like, Orisa has this playstyle that if you focus the Orisa survives. If you don't focus the Orisa, the Orisa dominates your backline, so then you have to focus the Orisa, but if you focus the Orisa, somebody else does something, and then both Orisas just sit there and javelin spin each other. So, like, I'm putting Orisa here on S tier. And I'm not surprised to see where I have these two tanks that both got buffed. There's going to be some, like, discussion about Doomfist and A tier. I will say that. There will be discussion about this, but I've just seen really good Dooms pop off. So, that's my bias there. So, that's my tank tier list. I'm okay with this. All the tanks are playable. I look at this and I'm not like, oh, this is tough. Like, I'm fine with this. Said all the tanks are playable. Oh, really? Let's see your hog hours this season. First of all, I will have you know that a couple days ago, we had a 4v5 game. Here's the story of that game, okay? You ready? Loaded into a Koth game. Won the first round. My teammate left. Lost the second round. Third round, I went Roadhog. We won 4v5. I won a 4v5 with Roadhog. Top 500. Do I really think D.Va is that good? I'm going to be biased when it comes to D.Va. I think D.Va's in a pretty good spot, yeah. When it comes to D.Va, I will be biased because I play D.Va a lot. And I think D.Va's in a pretty okay spot, it's why I put A-. Anyway, that is going to be tanks. Ashe. Ashe is pretty good. Yeah, I like Ashe. I'm thinking the A-. I'm thinking A-. You'll see why in a bit. I'm thinking A- for Ashe, yeah. I think that's a good spot. Ashe is pretty good. Players play Ashe well. Bastion, I want to go with A or S tier. I think A tier is probably the safe pick, mainly because of the hitbox. So I'll go A tier. Bastion's really good right now. I think A tier. So I think this is good. Bastion's ahead of Ashe there. I'm happy with that one. Cassidy, C tier. I'm going to be honest with you. Some people might argue B tier. The reason why I have Cass in C tier is because Cass's range right now is a big issue. And like most heroes now that have any range or survivability makes Cass just cannot. The range change every time they do it makes Cass worse. It's just you feel like you're not doing enough damage. So I think Cass at C is I'm fine with that. Echo, kind of want to put Echo in A- again. I think Echo's so good. I feel like Echo's so good, like an A-. Like Echo's a really good hero. A? Chat wants A tier? I'll go with A tier. I'm happy with that. I like Echo. Echo's good. Soldier 76. B? B plus? I think B or B plus for Soldier 76. B plus? A-? B? B plus? I like B plus. I like B plus. I'll tell you why. Here's why I put Soldier at B plus. I feel like, and this was my experience of when we climbed to top 500 on DPS, and then keep in mind, a lot of it was with Soldier. If I had the right map, all right, you know what? Chad's convinced me. I'm going A-. Listen, now I can play Soldier in my rank games. Genji. Remember, the further we put Genji on the tier list, the further down on the tier list we put Genji, the less likely Genji will get nerfed. So, like, B tier? Yeah, I think B tier. I think B tier is fine for Genji. A little bit better than Cass. Hanzo. It's a tough one. Hanzo's a tough one. B plus? B? I'm thinking. You can't one-shot some heroes anymore, but it's like still a good hero. Pops off from time to time. You can have really good games. I'll go with B plus. I like playing. I like playing that. Junkrat. I don't even know where to put Junkrat. B? I think B tier's safe. May? Oh, this is tough. C tier? C? May's comp-based, I agree. Here's my take. Since they made the changes to May, like recently, like last season, May was not where May was before, which would have been like up here, right? Now, if the team comp isn't good for May, May struggles. Like, I have no problem forcing out Ice Block. May's damage doesn't feel like it does as much, right? When it comes to left clicking, that is, when holding the left click. If the comp isn't being ran, and like heroes like, a lot of these heroes here are really good at like baiting out May's Ice Block, it makes me feel like May is probably kind of sitting in that C tier right now. B tier? All right, you know what? I'm sure Chat plays against May a lot. We can go B tier. Pharah? Oh, this is a toughie. This is a toughie. Because really good Pharah teams can dominate. We've seen it in a lot of different things, right? If I put Pharah here, and Pharah's on the same tier as Soldier 76, but I can agree with that. I'm gonna do A-. People are gonna see this right here and be like, "Oh, Soldier counters Pharah." Listen, you ever played Soldier 76 against a pocketed Pharah? You said, in your opinion, Echo was better than Pharah? I think right now Echo has a little bit more playmaking ability on when it comes to like quick damage. I think really good Pharahs, you could argue even like really good Pharahs, you could argue S tier. But I think like if we're looking at overall, I still like Echo a little bit better for a little more consistent. Reaper. B tier. Sojourn. B+. Sombra, D tier. B? B? All right, we'll go B. Keep in mind, keep in mind, by the way, with Sombra, like just to point this out with Sombra's ult charge is way slower. Sombra is good against some of these comps. Like, don't get me wrong, like I said, a good Sombra can make a Doom not have fun. But Sombra's in a spot where, like, the damage output of a lot of heroes right now and, like, the way comps are playing, like, you don't see Sombra as much. I do think Sombra's pretty good, though. Sim? B+? I think B+. It's pretty good. I like B+ for Sim. The Sim is in every contender's team. It's crazy. All right, I got you A- then. There you go. I think Sim's good. Like, I play against, like, good Sims. So, listen, if someone's like, hey, you know, the Sim's, you know, we'll move Sim up. I can move Sim up. I'm fine with that. The right click's good. The left click's good. Torb. A-? A? Torb's good. I think A-. Torb's good. Torb got a buff. Torb's got a lot of, like... So, Torb's gotten a lot of, like, small buffs recently. Just so everybody got, like... Just so you know, like, Torb shoots faster. Repairs the turret faster. Turret got nerfed, but, like, Torb in general, from, like, an absolute, like, damage output point of view, Torb is still pretty good right now. And now that you're seeing, like, Ayari in the game, right? For example, Ayari's in the game. So now you're having more turrets on the field, which means that, like, heroes like Torb are having their Torb turret survive for a little bit longer because people are trying to get the healing pylon, or people aren't killing either of them. So I think Torb is pretty good in that. Did Torb's A? I'm comfortable with Torb at A-, although I agree that, like, you see this comp a lot. I'm comfortable with that. Tracer. Is it me or is Tracer, like, always A tier? Like, I feel like Tracer's so good. A-, A, B, like, A-, there you go, I'm going A-. I just did chat. Whenever it comes to, like, playing against Tracer, like, just to give you an idea, A tier? Okay, I'll put Tracer in A tier. I play against good Tracers, and they can be so tough to play against. I'm going with A tier. I'm going against my experience against Tracers. I'm going with A tier. This is just going to be... This is purely one of those, like, selections of... I'm just going based off of whenever I play games that Tracer plays well. Widow. I'm going with B+. I think Widow's, like, okay. All right, that's DPS. I'm okay with this one. I know that there's going to be some discussion about, like, the A-, like, A range, but, like, I'm okay with it. I feel like it's not... There's not too many hot takes here. I think, like, a lot of DPS are playable. Cassidy's obviously in C tier for a reason right now because Cass has just been struggling. Sombra, we could have argued, like, C+, etc., but I wasn't gonna extend out, like, on how many S+, S tier, etc. we have. So I think overall this is a pretty decent DPS. There can be, like, some arguments on, like, some things, but I don't think we're talking arguments of, like, oh, you're gonna move, you know, Cass up to S tier. You know what I mean? I think it's more like, you know, maybe you can move Widow to B, or you can move, you know, Junkrat up to B+. Like, very small changes, but overall, I'm happy with it so far. I think from what I'm seeing, this is pretty good. You said every Tracer in the contenders match. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by that, but I still think, like, and I talk about it, we'll take into account contenders in, like, Overwatch League with a lot of stuff, but in ranked, I feel like ranked is becoming a lot more of you can play a lot more, and you're seeing less of, like, full meta comps. I think that will change now that contenders matches are happening, but I think from an overall, like, let's say you load up and play solo queue Tracer. If you're good at Tracer, you'll probably end up playing pretty well. So I'm going to be a bit biased in that because obviously I go up against good Tracers. And someone might look at this and be like, you know, no, I think Tracer's here. And I understand that, but looking back on it, Doom being an A is crazy. I think Doom is, like, probably a slightly underrated right now. Like, Doom since the cooldown changes and, like, no Sombra being played a lot is playing well. Like, if you get a Sombra, you're gonna have you probably will be fine against the Doom, but nobody's switching to Sombra recently, unless you're in quick play. If I go in quick, I found, you know where I find a lot of Sombras in quick play. I load in the quick play and they go, is the other team playing tank? If so, I'm going Sombra. All right, so that's where we are at with DPS. On to support. Zenyatta. I'm thinking either B+ or A-. All right, hear me out, chat. The higher we put Zenyatta on this tier list, what if that increases the chances that Discord Orb eventually gets nerfed? I'm going to put Zen at A-. I think Zen's pretty good. Lucio, A. You fine with that? Lucio's being played a lot more now. And I understand, listen, as I make this tier list, okay, I know that in a lot of your ranked games, you probably have a Lucio that will only speed boost or only heal boost, okay? But I think Lucio is very good right now. Lucio's very good. Just to point that out. Lifeweaver. Hot take. Hot take, but I think Lifeweaver's in the A- A territory. I'm not even kidding you. This is probably a hot take, but I actually think Lifeweaver's A-A. I think Lifeweaver's improved a ton. I think, obviously, the Lifeweaver's going to be doing a little more of the healing output than the damage, but I think, like, Lifeweaver's ultimate is so strong. You get ultimate fairly quickly. Your utility's a lot better now. You have your pull on cooldown more. It heals when you pull. Like, I actually think that overall, Lifeweaver has moved into that A- tier. I actually think, and it might be a hot take on this tier list, but I'm gonna put Lifeweaver in A- because I think there's still discussion about whether or not some of the other heroes we put in A tier are gonna be a better pick. But I think Lifeweaver has absolutely moved up that tier list. Has absolutely moved up that tier list. I see chat putting A, but I'm still comfortable with the A- pick. Okay, Ayari. Ooh, this is tough. I feel like every time I do tier lists, supports are like always like A or S tier, it feels like, for the most part. Am I wrong? I feel like every time we do, like, supports are so good now. I'm gonna put Ayari in A tier. I'm gonna put A tier. And the reason why I'm gonna put Ayari in A tier for now, I still think there's a lot of time for players to keep getting better at Ayari. Like, I think there's a lot of time for players to keep getting better at Ayari. So, like, I don't even think we've quite seen how good the hero will be. And I think, like, I'll give it time at, like, A tier and kind of see how it goes. And I think that I would not doubt if you see, like, S tier. But I think, like, I think A tier is good. And what I've realized, you know what I really like about Ayari, and I think what makes Ayari so good, is that you can kind of just throw your healing pylon in a good spot and go play, just go vibe out and have a good time. And it will heal. And I realize what makes Ayari so strong and why you get your ultimate so consistently is because when you're playing another hero, you're constantly having to keep, like, making sure you're healing the right target at the right time. The pylon's like, you know what? That person's at low HP. I'm going to heal them. And next thing you know, you'll get 40% ult charge because you left the pylon in a good spot. And you're like, oh, sweet. What a treat, right? I'm going to start with A tier. I think there can be argument for S tier. I think in the right hands, I've seen some great Ayaris, but, like, I'm going to go with A tier for now. All right, BAP. This is going to be a hot take, but I'm telling you right now, BAP is, I'm going to put BAP in A tier, but BAP, like, is it bad I want to put BAP in S tier? From a ranked point of view? Like, it's either A or S tier. BAP is so good. Like, and I know people are going to be like, what do you mean? What do you mean BAP is really good? Like, you'll play with a BAP, they won't heal you. I'm telling you right now, have you ever tried to 1v1 a BAP? Straight up. I'm putting BAP in S tier. You know what? Hot take, I'm putting BAP in S tier. Have you ever tried to 1v1 a BAP? Like, BAP is so good. BAP is, like, one of those heroes that I think because, like, it feels like a lot of players don't play BAP as much, but anytime I play against a BAP, I feel like okay, I'll be in a top 500 game, and I will, you know what, you want to know what I'm doing if I'm playing a top 500 game? It'd be like spinning in my chair. I will be spinning in circles because there's always a BAP on the flank who is shooting you for damage. Then you go for the BAP, and next thing you know, they're back with their team. Or if you try to go for them, they use their burst heal. You go, okay, I got the burst heal. Then they use their lamp. Then you can't kill the lamp because you're getting low. So then by the time you kill the lamp, they have their burst heal again, and you're just like, right? And then you'll be like, okay, I'm gonna watch the BAP this time. They window you at an off angle. You get rolled. And then if you don't window you at an off angle, you get rolled. Sorry, Chad. I play against a lot of good BAPs. All right, I had to talk about BAP for a second. BAP is a very good hero, very fun hero at that too. All right, Ana, even with all the nerfs, A tier, or S tier, sorry. Good synergy, anti-nade is good, good hero. I like Ana in S tier. You could argue A plus if I had an A plus tier, but I don't have an A plus tier. So I'm just gonna put Ana in S tier. People are gonna be like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, I've been watching the matches, and it's like, this isn't ranked, dude. Listen, in my take is a lot of people just lock Ana and have a good time, and Ana's good. I think S is fine. Brig. A minus. A minus. A. One of the two. A. I'm going A. All right, listen. I'm going to teach you something here about Brig. We're going to talk about Brig for a second while we're having this discussion. All right, chat? What makes Brig so good? Chat has a good idea on this one. Synergy. Let's say that Ana and Brig are playing. Is the Ana dying if the Brig's playing correctly? Nope. Let's say that a Brig is playing a Junker Queen comp with Lucio. Will the team lose that team fight? If the team's playing well, probably not. You see it sometimes. If a Brig's playing with Ayari, Bunch of random heals happen. You got Pylons, you got Inspire. I've seen Bat Brig. Bap ain't dying. So the reason why I like having light... Well, Brig Zen. Does Zen become a tank? Yep. Here's what I'm saying here with Brig and why I'm going with Brig A tier. And keep in mind, people say an A- tier. You could also be very correct on that one. Brig enables the other support to survive for a long time if the Brig is playing correctly. You proc Inspire, etc. There's argument for A-. If there was a tier between A- and A, I think I'd put Brig there. Like here. If I could put Brig like right here, I think this would be a good way to do it. You see that? Like, I think this would be like where you would put Brig. So it's like the argument of like, where would you put Brig? That's why I'm just putting Brig in A tier. I honestly also am putting Brig in A tier because if I do this, it adds a second line here. I don't want to add a second line yet. Is that good? I just don't want to add a second line to it. It's just going to make a second line and I'm not ready for that yet, okay? Kiriko! That seem fair? Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of people say A. I just feel like Cleanse is so good. Like, and the thing is I feel like Cleanse is technically a little bit better now if you're actually using it to prevent, like, an anti. Because it heals for more. Like, doesn't it have, like, a huge burst heal now, too? I don't know. Like, maybe it's just, like... Maybe sometimes... And this is why I think that when we do the bronze-silver tier list, it'll be really interesting to see. But, like, when I play against a good Kiriko right now, like, I'll have Kiriko just go on the flank, get 2 picks, teleport back, Suzu, survive, heal, teleport back, go back in, play an off angle, go in with the DPS, keep that DPS alive, go back to their team, heal up their team, teleport back to the DPS on the off angle, rinse and repeat, use Kitsune, increase all the cooldowns of your team, and it's just like, when a Kiriko's playing it correctly, it's so tough. I know it's a little bit... I like Kiriko and S tier. I like Kiriko and S tier. All right, next 2 heroes. This will be interesting. Moira. I feel like Moira's like a B+.
Happy half year.
I feel like Moira's like a B+. I think like, and the reason why B+ is where I usually put Moira right now is because I'm looking at the utility of a lot of the other heroes currently. And Moira's issue that you'll run into a lot of time is that lack of utility. But Moira has good healing and good damage output. So if you have a Moira on your team, it's not a bad thing. I guess it depends what's happening during the game. I say that, but then chat's like, wait a second, I have a Moira on my team and they're in the back line. But I think Moira in B+ tier is fine. Like, I think Moira is a good hero that you could argue A- if you wanted to, but I still think B+ is like kind of where I have Moira at. I'm okay with that, and I look at that, and I'm like, that's fine. Which leaves the last hero that we have on the tier list, which is Mercy. A or A-? I think A. Can't go S tier right now. I wouldn't go B+ tier, right? So that leaves A-. Not B+, not S tier. I'm in a lot of ranked games with a lot of really good Mercies, and they play very well. And the utility Mercy brings, like the damage boost, Valk is such a good ultimate when you're able to like survive team fights, win team fights. Like, I think it's either an A- or an A. Keep in mind, damage boost did get nerfed, but like damage boost is now just on the same level as this Discord orb. So it's like, okay, be honest. How much of this decision is based on the A- row being filled? Probably about 80%. No, not really. I'm gonna go with A. I'm gonna go with A. I'm okay with A tier. Listen, chat. It's some of these like these tier list swaps or changes or like decisions by me it also comes from like my experience in ranked, and I play up against and with a lot of good Mercies. And when a good Mercy is surviving and they are damage boosting a really good, and they're damage boosting like a DPS, or they're getting these like really amazing reses off, they turn fights so much. I'm telling you right now. Like, there are games where like a Mercy will like be in my game and they will be keeping the Echo alive the whole time, and I could probably make a tier list during that game because the DPS is going 40-1 and the Mercy's surviving with like really sick movement. I think you could argue you move Zen up to A. If I wanted to like change anything, like I think Zen could be A tier also. Like if I look at this and I go, if I wanted to do one more switch, I'd put Zen up here maybe. I just think Zen, like, I think the biggest issue I've seen with Zen recently is whenever you see like an Ayari against a Zen, I feel like the Zen gets rolled half the time just because of like the current hitbox on Zen. So like it just feels like Zen has become a little bit, although Zen's good like here. I don't know. You know what, chat? I'm not gonna like second guess the tier list too much. I am totally fine with this. This is, in my opinion, it's pretty good. You gotta remember, some of this is based off of my experience. Don't you worry. We'll take about a week to get the bronze and silver tier list uploaded to the Discord, and we'll see what bronze and silver players are saying about their rank and what heroes they think are in their tiers based off of the average. Does that sound good? This is like probably one of like this really isn't like much of like a hot take tier list. I'd say like there's arguments about like where you can move like a B+ to a B or like an A- to an A. But I think overall it doesn't really feel like it's too much of a hot take. I mean, maybe that's how I'm seeing it, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Sub to all the YouTubes if you haven't yet. Also, I think we're going to do another like bronze, silver. This time we're going to do a bronze and silver tier list. So if you want to be able to submit your tier list, look in the description below and join my Discord. We'll have a channel on there. I don't know what the channel name's going to be yet, where you can submit your tier list. We'll average them out with the tier list and see what the ultimate bronze silver tier list is. What was created with all those tier lists averaged out. We also record all this live on stream, so if you want to, or most of the time, so if you want to watch the stream or stop by, or we have a ton of fun here, hit the follow button, follow everything. With that being said, hope you all have an amazing day/night.